afternoon, esteemed panelists, fellow journos, and of course to the Artlet community.
I'm Jamie Jimeno.
I am Mark Ernest Villeza.
And I'm Patricia Kahanap, and we are presenting our research, tentatively titled, Where's the Media? A case study on the Filipino Gen Z's news consumption on social media during Typhoon Ulysses. So to start with, the Philippines has always been vulnerable to different kinds of natural disasters, from earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and typhoons. And this is thanks to the several geographical and environmental factors that affect our country's climate. To name a few, our country is located within the Pacific Ring of Fire and the Pacific's typhoon belt. But let us also not forget that the Philippines is known for being one of the top social media users worldwide. So back in January 2021, advertising firms We Are Social and Hootsuite revealed a report which showed that Filipinos spend an average of 4 hours and 15 minutes each day on social media. So now let's make these two facts work together. So considering that Filipinos are constantly on social media, journalists must maximize their use of the internet in reporting and fact-checking, especially during natural calamities. So Kusumari and Prabowo found that during natural disasters, second-hand reporting was the most common use of Twitter. So given the influx of inputs, the press must use their social media platforms to quickly disseminate verified information. So this way, they can urge the people to take action accordingly. Our research aims to look at the perspective of the Filipino Generation Z, who are regarded as social media natives, and we will ask them how effectively the professional media used social media for disaster reporting during Typhoon Ulysses. So for context, Typhoon Ulysses made its first landfall last year on November 11 in Quezon Province. It affected multiple regions in the country, including NCR, Ilocos, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Bicol, and the Cordillera Administrative Region. So now for our theoretical background. First, we have disaster reporting. So during natural calamities, journalists play an important role in saving people's lives. So through their reports, they help citizens understand what to do and what not to do in times of crisis. For instance, Phillips and Lindgren in 2010 said that the media communicated information from doctors to the public so that the people would not contract asbestos, that disease where people inhale microscopic fibers. So this shows that the press serves as a bridge between the experts and the audience. But while doing such daunting tasks, journalists are still expected to maintain their sanity while reporting. Unfortunately, sometimes this is easier said than done. So as a research by Houston et al. 2019 found that journalists have experienced psychological struggles while reporting on disasters, including sleeping difficulty and failing to achieve a work-life balance. Despite that, they must practice utmost objectivity, professionalism, and excellence while doing their job. So, like other news stories from different beats, disaster stories also use different kinds of framing. Houston et al. 2012, Pinto and Prado 2020, and Orgaret 2016 have determined some of the most prominent angles used during calamities, which we will later present on the next slide. Regardless of which frame they go with, they must remain ethical and objective when interacting with those who were affected. So these are the framings presented by our related literature. Next, for citizen journalism.
So we have citizen journalism. So there's no definite description of what makes a citizen reporter. For instance, Farinosi and Trere said that individuals are more likely to produce information from the source, aka themselves. On the other hand, Kosumari and Prabowo note that people already consider themselves as citizen journalists, even if they're only second-hand sources of information. For both studies, citizen journalism rises on the desire of the public to be included in the dissemination of information, especially in the postmodern era. Studies from Sosale and Paul 2020, along with Hughes and Palin 2017, express the idea that citizen journalism, especially in this day and age, requires a collective effort from people in a particular community to resolve an issue, and many online platforms are able to facilitate such need. Although there is a long-standing debate between the citizen journalists and professional news media, the two parties can complement each other, especially in times of crisis. Valuable asset to traditional media. According to Bruns and Highfield, the internet serves as a common ground for both journalists and the public to work together for the sake of information dissemination. So next we have reciprocal journalism. So in disaster reporting, there is a collaboration between the professional media and citizen journalists. That is the premise of reciprocal journalism. For Lewis et al., community journalists tend to encourage human connectivity compared to mainstream media. Through reciprocal journalism, the press can create a better community and better reportage. So next, so for social media plays a pivotal role in disaster and crisis communication. It could be used to educate communities about disaster resilience, spread information to the public, social engagement, especially in certain disasters, providing support, among others. So according to Hughes and Palin 2017, with just a few clicks, social media users are able to report on the ground during a crisis in real time. Technology now allows journalists and media organizations to mirror their newspaper content through social media platforms like Twitter, according to Hermida 2013. So a study from Brahim et al. 2019 also mentions that Twitter users are more likely to be updated regarding emergencies than non-Twitter users. Some respondents are used to getting information from print or televised news because who they are bringing at home, but switch to online mode after getting into university. Next. Other than news updates, social media also allowed people to join civic engagement initiatives after a disaster. During the onslaught of Typhoon Haiyan, locally known as Yolanda, in 2013, posts about calamities and relief operations have taken over Twitter, based on a study from David 2016. Other, other tweets, according to Imperial et al. 2018, have expressed prayers intention and other messages with undertones of hope and gratitude.
So for our research, we will be working with the social exchange theory. So in a nutshell, the theory asserts that people weigh the costs and the benefits of our particular task before they do it. So they push through with the said task if there are more rewards than risks that come with it. So to help us use this theory in the context of our topic, we will circle back to reciprocal journalism. So when professional journalists and the citizens work together to spread relevant and accurate information, there is potential for greater shared benefits. So such as but not limited to better community dynamics and of course more effective disaster reportage. Through technology, journalists can improve their disaster reports by coordinating with citizens in finding out the situation on the ground, while the citizens can help their communities by coordinating with the media during disasters. Mark, you're on mute.
So for our methods and design, social media being used both professionally and personally, we have been considered by journalists in their field of work to cover events. In the Philippines, however, there are few studies covering this experience. For our selection and study site, we will target 25 Filipino Gen Zs residing in Metro Manila to ask them about their perceptions on how well Filipino journalists use social media during the onslaught of Typhoon Ulysses back in November 2020. For us to understand our study, we will be reaching out to reporters who are assigned to cover natural calamities such as Typhoon Ulysses, where they also use social media to broadcast the news. To collect the data for our study, we will use a variety of sources, including interviews with the chosen journalists, data acquired from the Gen Z students' focus groups, and content from both their Twitter accounts. Before we collect the data for our study, we will be securing a consent from the Institutional Review Board of the Department of Communication and Media Studies of the university. And to protect the information given to us by our respondents, they will be asked to fill out an informed consent form with which will include a written agreement. Transcriptionists will also be asked to sign a confidentiality agreement. Information given to the respondents will also be shared between the researchers and the thesis advisor. And finally, we will transcribe all interviews and group discussions. The data will be analyzed through the description of the case and themes and the case as well as cross-cost themes. And at the same time, the researchers will also use data validity mode and member checking. And that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you so much, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.